Hi, welcome to my channel and welcome back. So today I'm jumping around to talk about the scam that romantic love has sold us. The delulu that romantic love has sold us.
Romance is not real. But wait. Let me say it better before y'all eat me up and tell me how this one time 10 years ago a man bought you flowers. The concept of romance as we know it today is another tool of patriarchy. Romance is what has allowed common men to have access to women's sexuality and fertility. Because if it were not for romance and love, women would still be going after the best and the brightest and would leave most men out of their dating pool. And do you want to know the perfect place to observe this? Go watch a few episodes of Cheaters because I guarantee that you will see a pattern. The woman who lives with the cheater always complains about how he doesn't do these nice things that he's doing for the other woman anymore. He doesn't buy her flowers anymore. He doesn't buy her gifts anymore. He doesn't even say kind words to her anymore. You want to know why? Because he already used his romance tool on you and it already worked. He already got you. He already has access to your fertility and access to sex with you. He doesn't have to romance you anymore because he already got what he wanted. Romance is a tool of patriarchy that allows common, ordinary men access to our reproduction and our sexuality.
So romantic love is not really conducive to successful relationships, like by design. That until a certain point in human history, no one really considered that kind of love to be a positive experience. It's like there's a reason the Greeks said that he was pierced by Cupid's dart. Like you were shot. No one thinks being shot is a positive experience that they should go out and get for themselves. But in general, people who fell in love, it's a fall. It's a fall from grace, it's a fall from sanity, and are generally treated with, let's say, a pitiable indulgence because it's not really their fault. They couldn't help it. They're not in their right mind. But no, not for me, thank you. What changed is that we now, in most parts of the world, consider romantic love not only to be a positive and something that all people should want and seek out, but potentially the most important experience or the most important goal that a human being can aspire to, which is insane. It's totally crazy. It's like basically saying, from the perspective of the Greeks, that the best thing you could possibly be is depressed. Like the Greeks saw limerence as a mental illness. And within that context, people striving and seeking out romantic love and the one and their soulmate. And it's like seeking out a distortion. It's seeking out a disease. Okay. And these Cathars were a sect of Catholics, a sect of Christians who believed certain things about love and marriage. In particular, they believed that people should not get married. Fun fact is that marriage only really became a Catholic sacrament much later than people think. Like it wasn't until around this time in the 15th century that marriage became one of the official Catholic sacraments. Before then, it wasn't. In fact, there's a long tradition in Catholicism about not marrying. I mean, the Pope doesn't get married, does he? None of the apostles got married. Jesus didn't get married. Paul talked about how he wishes that all men would be like him, unmarried. World is a world of imperfection. It's a world of flaw. It's a world of tragedy. Why bind your heart to another mortal creature who will fail you? The only thing that you can trust is God, and we'll meet him in the life beyond. So let's not create any unnecessary attachments here on earth.
Trying to turn romantic love into life partnership is like hiring your favorite barista to be your personal chef. They're just different skill sets, but our conditioning towards the nuclear family tells us that romantic love should seamlessly translate into life partnership. Often the things that we fall in love with in somebody have nothing to do with the likelihood of you being able to build a successful partnership, and they can often actually be the things that undermine it. Listen to this quote from Chop Wood, Carry Water. This is from Dr. Scott Peck. While I generally find that great myths are great precisely because they represent and embody great universal truths, the myth of romantic love is a dreadful lie. Perhaps it is a necessary lie, in that it ensures the survival of the falling in love experience that traps us into marriage. But as a psychiatrist, I weep in my heart almost daily for the ghastly confusion and suffering that this myth fosters. Millions of people waste vast amounts of energy desperately and futilely attempting to make the reality of their lives conform to the unreality of the myth. We expect so much out of romantic love that it just cannot deliver. We expect it to heal all of our wounds when it's more likely to trigger a lot of them. We expect it to satisfy that deep longing for community, but one person is never going to satisfy your need for community. We expect it to remove loneliness from our lives by tucking them into every corner of our lives and moving them into our homes, when the truth is that a lot of romantic relationships actually cause us to be more confronted with our own loneliness than if we were single. The reality is that romantic love and life partnership are two very different things, and we try so hard in our society to smash them together, often at great cost, often at the cost of losing ourselves in that process. When you're falling in love with someone, you're essentially looking at them and you're like, wow, and they're looking at you and they're like, wow. And initially you really genuinely do help each other expand, and it feels so beautiful and so connecting and so delightful. But even the best relationships, the best marriages, 5, 10, 15 years down the road are only going to have an echo of that emotion. They're going to be fundamentally constructed of something else. They're going to be constructed of the mundane day-to-day aspects of cohabitation and maybe child rearing. In my life, the romantic love of long-term relationships always presented as a bait and switch. And not necessarily because the men changed, although that did happen, but it's built into the experience of romantic love that it's going to start out one way. It's going to start out making you feel so wonderful and so happy and so connected, but it's never going to maintain the promise of the first couple of years. The only thing certain about romantic love is that it will change shape drastically. I think a lot of the suffering and confusion that we're going through right now is us collectively resisting the awakening that romantic love might best be served as a side dish and not the main course.
How a lot of women will get so carried away with the idea of being partnered, being married, being in a relationship. Now being in a relationship, it almost feels like they have not accomplished a huge deal in their lives. So the fact is, a lot of men don't think the same way that we women think, don't love the same way that we think. Get your popcorn, get your drinks, get your wine, get in your comfy position, wherever you find yourself, and let's get into some of these videos, some of these perspectives, and let me know your thoughts and opinions also in the comment section. I'll come back with my 2 cents. So for me, my take on the fact that we've been sold the delulu of the Disney movie mindset of what is it called, love is forever, you get your rescue. The truth is nobody's coming to rescue you. So having an agency over your life, over your future, over your purpose is more important than having this feeling where you're going with the feeling. You found your forever, riding down on the white horse and saving you from all your issues. You can have like the greatest partner in life, right? I'm not talking about the dusty person who's gonna try to manipulate, control you, make you feel less than yourself, make you cry, make you doubt yourself, all that good stuff. But a good, solid partner. But that still doesn't take away from the fact that you still have to do the internal work of you being a whole human, a person with personhood in this life, taking care of your physical health, your mental health, your financial health, your future health, all the healths. So just having this idea of
feelings and just living your life to the fact that the person promised you this life because you love each other, because you're forever hooked, and it's not going to be this change, and you're moving to a whole different part of the world just because they said so, and because you're so much in love. You're not looking at, okay, what will my future look like if I move with that person to a different state, to a different country? What will my future look like if he wants me to have 2, 3 kids, 4, 5 kids? What will my future look like if I'm not on birth control and I keep popping out kids? What would that look like if I don't go back to my degree because he doesn't want me to go back? What will my future look like if he tells me I need to stay home to be a stay-at-home mom and homeschool my kids or do whatever, when he's not paying you whatever equivalent of salary that you'll be getting if you were working your 9 to 5 or whatever job or your career or your business? But for the sake of love, like, I'm so mush, I love him so much. Meanwhile, this person that you say you're loving, because a lot of us women love to our detriment. We sacrifice our lives, our future, our bodies, our mental health, everything for the sake of love that's been sold to us through Disney movies, through these romance books, and and forever they raced down into the sunset, and it was forever wonderful and beautiful. Chef kiss. Just saying. And you put your life on hold. You put your future on hold for that man, for those children, and on and on and on and on you go. And next thing you know, he switches up. Next thing you know, he's not here anymore. Next thing you know, he starts cheating. Next thing you know, he's not here anymore. Next thing you know. And here you always like, oh my God, I don't know what happened to Kofi. I loved him so much. Now he loves it. And you cannot recover. And your recovery time, your threshold of recovery time from that breakup is years or decades, even in some cases. The fact is, if you can hold up 90% of that to yourself, 5% using logic, okay, he's criticizing me from going back to school, for getting my master's, for not getting my doctorate. Do you need to care so much to say, okay, he said that, so I'm not going to go, I'm not going to do it? You're afraid that he will leave you if you question, if you set those boundaries, if you say no. And no is a full sentence. Say, no, I'm going to go back to that school. I'm going to start that business anyway. I'm going to rattle. Be a rattler. Be a rattler. I'm not saying I'm going to be a rah in your relationship, but be a rattler, being that you just don't go. You're using your logic. You're putting yourself first, running and crying to the pastor because you want him to be your rescuer. One of the reasons why my situation didn't work out, my divorce happened, is primarily because I'm so driven. I want my own life. I want my business. And see, in our culture, a lot of women have been subjugated. And I didn't want to be subjugated because I've seen what subjugation did to my mother, what subjugation did to my aunties, my grandmothers, and beyond, friends, clients that I see day to day in therapy, in coaching, needing medication for anxiety and panic because they allow themselves to be subjugated as women because we've been sold the idea of, I love him so much to the detriment. This man is dodging you, disrespecting you, calling out your name, using drugs, using alcohol, not keeping his work, not keeping his words, being out all the time with his boys. And yet you're still sitting there, sacrificing your life, crying, praying, fasting, and hoping that he will change instead of making intentional, actionable steps and say, nope, that's not working. Nope, this is not it. Nope, I gotta go this way. No, I'm gonna stay, but I'm gonna stay silently while I'm planning my quiet, safe exit. Rattle, whatever it needs to be done, get the support you need. Therapy. Get that route. Counseling. Legal support, financial support, whatever. Bring all the group in there if it's somebody that you find that is really high conflict, and you setting boundaries, you saying no is very difficult for you to handle on your own. But the idea of just loving, and that's unconditional love for one person just because you're romanticizing this life with that person without romanticizing your own life, Romanticize your own life, your future. How does it look like? What do you want? What are your favorite color? Where do you want to travel to? What degrees you want to have? What kind of corporate ladder do you want to? Don't you want those things for yourself, where you can up and do things without having to check in, because that person, for the sake of, oh, I love him, will not allow you to do X, Y, and Z, saying, oh, they have your best interest. Oh, you just wait. They will do it for you. They will cover you. While in the meantime, you're just sitting there. Why are you a child? Are you a child? Just because you're a woman, does it subjugate you to become a child? My rant will go on and on. The romantic love, it's fuck romantic love. Use your logic more. Keep 95% of that feeling to yourself. Pour into yourself. See how that will look like for you. How do you romanticize your life, your future, your finances, your self-care, your looks, even your hair? There are women who are not even allowed to change their hairstyles because their husband doesn't want them to. Meanwhile, maybe they want poofy hair like me, or they want locks, or they want, wavy hair, whatever. But the husband doesn't want them to. And they say, oh, I love him so much. He doesn't want me to do that. I have to ask permission before I go out with the girls. I have to, oh, I can't. What will my husband say? I have to check with my husband first. Subjugation because of romantic love. Fuck romantic love. Decenter men still love men, but don't forget to use your logic. I love you so much. Bye.
Ladies, this information that I'm about to share in this video is being suppressed. Every time I make a post about the origins of things like marriage and romantic love, those posts never get more than a few thousand views. And that's by design, because this information is groundbreaking and the patriarchy doesn't want you to have access to it. So if you learned something in this video, please like, comment, share, repost. Get this information out there, ladies.
Romantic love was really invented by lower status men for lower status men, so that they might be able to compete with higher status men in the sexual marketplace for women. Because they didn't have the resources and the status and the opportunity that most women are looking for in their partners, they invented an intangible romantic love that they argued was even more special and valuable than all of that mere stuff. It's kind of a spell that romantic lovers attempt to cast over their love objects. However, it's a tenuous, fragile spell that can really be broken at any time. So romantic love actually works only to the extent that the romantic lover succeeds in drawing the love object away from anything that would remind her, essentially, that the emperor has no clothes. Sort of attempting to draw the woman away from the world into this little universe of two, where everything that we need is in each other's eyes. Forget about everything else. Look only at me. It's a hypnotic spell whose objective is to lure the love object away from anything that could break the spell. That's why romance is generally a strategy for those who can't compete successfully in the world yet. A group that is overpopulated by young men. It's very, very hard to be a young man in this world, let me tell you. They're incompetent and inexperienced, so men can't do anything with them. And they're poor and low status, so women don't want anything with them. No young man is the king. And if they can't rule in the real world, one of their sexual strategies is to kind of hypnotize women with the fantasy of romantic love into following them out of the real world and into the universe of two, where he can be king. Do you understand now?
We've been bamboozled, ladies. We've been hoodwinked.
People who have bought into this, we were talking about the Earth School, think that romance is what love really is.
Romance is not love. Love is far deeper, more powerful, and it doesn't wear off.
And romance is going to wear off.
Romance is going to wear off.
Guaranteed.
Because romance is the projection of beautiful qualities within yourself onto another person. It is looking for another person, in other words, to bring into your life what you need and have for yourself, but want from another person. So you see that other person as beautiful or charming, intelligent, gregarious, caring, sexual, sensual. And yet you yourself are all of these things, but instead of cultivating a caring, gregarious, lovingly sexual person yourself, you look for that in someone else.